Here we have our 1955 Norton International Model 30. So it's a 500cc overhead cam, clubman's racer if you like, from 1955. Wide line, featherbed frame. Wonderful example of one of these machines. We've had this in our collection for 6 years now. We've used it quite regularly. It's been a really nice bike. It's had an interesting history actually. So one owner from 1955 right the way through to 1991. So the chap there, Mr. Rollo, had it for quite a long time, and it's noted in the history file with this that from 1956 all the way up till 1990, every year he rode to the Isle of Man TT races to go and spectate those on this particular machine, and some photos back from the 1980s of the bike over in the Isle of Man itself. The bike was then sort of stood for quite a while during the 90s. It was restored in 2011-2012. There's quite a bit of work done. All the tinware and everything was replated and repainted, and the frame. Mechanically as well, there was a new piston fitted. It had a newbie clutch installed in the original standard type basket that was adapted, clutch basket, to take that. It's got an O-ring primary chain, so there's no oil in the primary chain case now. There's not a oil bath for that. And it was put back on the road. It was then further work done in about 2015 on this bike, which included new valves, valve seats and valve guides. Also had further new piston rings fitted. And yeah, it's been nicely. Oh, the dynamo and armature as well were, the armature in the dynamo and the field coil were replaced. It's now running 12-volt electrics, and yeah, it's been a very reliable bike. We've used this quite regularly over the last 6 years. It's fast, it's fun, and it's loud. And it's like all Internationals. They were quite angry, fast, furious bikes, if you like, in some way. It's a pre-war engine in this superb post-war frame. And but the cami sound, or the sound of these bikes, as you'll hear later in the video, it's superb. It is good fun to ride. There's been a couple of other tweaks to this bike. The gearbox has been altered, so it's the other way around with the changes to standard, which just makes it more like a race bike would have been. We've had oil tap fitted here to stop it wet sumping. We've got the monoblock carb fitted instead of the standard TT carb that came standard. It has got the TT carb with it, but we've got this monoblock fitted here, so that maintains a tick over and makes it easier to start. So that's just put on for ease of use really. But like I say, the original carburettor is with it if you wanted to put that back on. And it runs and rides generally very well. We've not had any issues with it. It's easy to start. It does tick over with that carburettor, and it goes very, very well indeed. The brakes are excellent. Gear change is slick, and there's no issues from that point of view. It does need new batteries on it, so I'll get those sorted so that it will be supplied with a new battery. 12-volt conversion on this one, as I mentioned. Overall, it still presents very well, and it's a really enjoyable bike. Weak points on these? Well, generally, this one is no different to other Internationals in that it does vibrate quite a bit. There's no denying that. It is loud, but that's a good thing as well as a negative thing, depending on how you look at it. And no matter what you do, it does have the incurable slight oil leak from the cam box at the top. So where the valves are bobbing up and down, there's some sponges been put in place on this one to try and mitigate some of the oil that comes out from there. It mists out from that. So you will get some of that. But if you know anything about these Cami Nortons, there's nothing you can do about that really, other than minimise it. But overall, it's a very, very nice bike. Really enjoyable. And yeah, we'll be sad to see it go. But ultimately, it's a really nice example. It's matching numbers, so it's its original engine, gearbox and frame combination as it left the factory, and it's carrying its original registration as well that it was issued back in 1955 in the UK. There is an old green logbook from the 1960s that's in the history file as well, again stating the original owner, and some maintenance sheets, instruction manuals and old MOT certificates and photos of the bike during its past. So, yep, there she is, really nice example, and this bike is for sale. We're looking for offers over £20,000. If you're interested in the machine, then send us a comment below, and you can message us through YouTube accordingly, and we can go from there.